Hello. Hello everyone. Welcome to the stream. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Well, welcome to the stream. It is Friday evening, really Friday night here for me. It's like 8 p.m. But I stream every Monday and Friday. I didn't want to miss the stream, so only had a few hours before the day was over. Anyway, good to see everyone. How's everyone doing? I sound tired. I'm not really tired. I think this is just how I sound. I haven't really spoken all day though, so maybe I'm just getting acclimated to speaking because I've just kind of been here by myself all day. But I don't know, I think that people who have come to the stream before could tell you. I don't know, maybe I sound tired, I don't know, but yeah, I just have a very soft and chill, calm voice. That's just kind of how I am. But anyway, today we are going to do the same thing that we did on Monday for anyone that was here, which was drink a little bit of whiskey out of a giant cup. Well, it's mostly Diet Coke, but there is some whiskey in it. And we're gonna paint some miniatures for D&D. So today I'm painting a big one. I don't know if I'm gonna finish it on stream because I feel like it might take a long time, but this is a big frost giant, as you can see in my mini cam. Hopefully this cam works. I've been trying. I don't have the best setup for streaming painting, but I've been trying different things every time, and this is the next evolution. I know it's not perfect, but I did try to get the camera behind me so you can actually see what I'm doing. But yeah, this is actually a named character. This is Harshnag from the adventure Storm King's Thunder, which I am currently running. I'm running like a heavily modified version of it, actually. So yeah, I wanted to paint this guy. I actually had another miniature that I was using for this character, but I eventually went and picked up the, like, I guess official one. Again, I know the camera quality is not super good, but hopefully it'll just give you an idea of what's going on. And also, just because we're painting doesn't mean that we don't have to talk about painting or D&D. We can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. That's kind of the purpose of the chat, but this is what I'm going to be doing, and then maybe it'll be interesting to someone else. Also, just want to know, I'm not like super great painter. I'm like a beginner painter, but it's fun. But I have been practicing a lot, and I've been learning a lot. I recently discovered the miniature community on YouTube, sort of like hobby craft painter community. So I've been learning a lot of stuff. So hopefully I can get a little bit better. If anyone in the chat is actually good at painting, I'm open to hearing all suggestions. But yeah, so that's what's gonna happen. And yeah, I'm using the same kind of cup as a base or holder, handle, whatever you want to call it for this, as I'm drinking out of. It's the same kind of cup. They come in handy for many things. So the first thing, just trying to figure out what color. I've got like some reference on the screen in front of me. But he's a frost giant, which means he has like kind of blue skin. So I think like he's kind of got like leather straps over like chainmail type armor. So ain't nothing to it but to do it. Where to start? Well, let's get some paint out here. Yeah, I know a lot of people want to get started in D&D. In my experience, maybe I've just been lucky, but in my experience, I found no shortage of people that wanted to play D&D. The only problem is getting someone to actually run the game. So I think the easiest way to get started with D&D is to be the DM and actually run the game. And it'll be a lot easier to get people to play with you. But it depends on where you are, depends on what's going on, where you live, that sort of thing. He has so many different parts, I don't know where to start. I guess I'll just start with the little shoulder pads. And I think that, like, this is a really good, this is like a cool mini. It's like wait, my hair's in the way. It's like very detailed, which the detailed minis are more fun to paint because you can really get the shadows and highlights in there because of the detail. All right. I'm drinking cheap whiskey. I live with my two brothers and we have to share everything, so we are efficient with our purchases. So it's called Club 400. It is pretty much the cheapest whiskey in our local liquor store. I think the only one cheaper is Heaven Hill, but Heaven Hill's kind of gross, so I don't buy it. It's the cheapest whiskey that's not gross, basically, in my opinion at least. Alright, we're gonna start with the brown. So I'm just gonna lay down the base coat. Just paint like the basic colors of everything. And then go from there, then probably do a wash and then do some highlights. I'm gonna try to get my hair out of the way. But I don't know if it's gonna work, because that's not really that comfortable. Well, Reagan, I was a DM many months before I actually played the game. I honestly think it's better that way, because you learn the game. You have to learn the game very quickly as a DM, and it really helps when you actually start playing. All right, let's get a brush. Do I think private property should be a thing? I'm okay with private property being a thing. I don't know about should or should not. I don't know if that's the question. I don't know if that's the way I would really phrase it. But I'm the type of person that really enjoys DMing. Like, I like DMing way more than I like playing. I mean, I like playing, and it's kind of a break from DMing, because DMing is a lot of work. But ultimately, I love DMing way more. All right, so I'm gonna start with these little shoulder pads, which is like a leather. So I'm gonna go with the brown color. I actually ordered some new brushes, but they haven't come in yet. Maybe I should have waited for them, but you know, Sometimes you can't wait. And I think that this, obviously, at the beginning stages, you don't have to really be neat because you're just gonna paint over everything anyway. Actually, well, you're supposed to thin your paint. I'm trying to get used to doing that. You're supposed to just paint many layers of very thin coats, which I didn't always do, but I'm getting better. Thank you, First Last. I like my hair also. Do I have one of those dinky one bristle brushes? I don't think so. One bristle? Yeah, I do dry brush a bit. It only works on certain minis though. It works really good on detailed minis like this. So I do plan to try it. But I might try some other highlighting techniques that I've been learning about. Oh shit. Okay, I thought I didn't have a towel. It's like I fucked up. It's like one of the main things you need. I used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering too, but that is a pretty expensive hobby if you want to take it seriously. D&D can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. I spend a lot of money on miniatures, so it can be expensive, but the cool thing about D&D is you don't really need anything. You just need to know how to play. And you need some dice. That's it. That's really all you need is dice, and you really don't even need dice because there are like dice apps that you can just use on your phone or on your computer. Assuming you have a computer, I guess. Alright, my hair's in the way again. Wait. Do I have any other minis that I've painted? I don't think I have any here. Because we play at my friend's house and I just take them over there when I'm done. Yeah, this is, I guess this is a, I don't even know what you would call, is it resin? I don't know what this is made out of. This is a frost giant, for those who are wondering. I'm nervous to DM, but I gotta get my butt in gear. Just pick a campaign to run. Our group has been playing for about a year. My partner is using DM. Well, if you've never run the starter set, it is very good for new DMs. Both of the starter sets, there's the starter, it's like literally called the starter set, and then there's one called the essentials kit. Both of those are really good for new DMs. Assuming the people that you're playing with have not run it already. But I mean, even if they have, it's still fun. But you know, it'll be spoiled, but it'll still be fun. Yeah, I mean, it is a giant, but it is smaller than real life, so it is still technically a miniature. I like reggae. I don't really listen to a lot of reggae. I'm not very familiar. I'm sure there will be some that I like. If you don't feel like buying the starter set, literally you can go to, like, I think, what is it, DM's Guild, and you can find some like adventure for like $2 online. You can like download a PDF or something. Or if you feel especially creative, you can create your own. Literally look up Running the Game by Matt Colville on YouTube. He basically has a video showing you how to run a one-shot session of D&D easily with like very minimal prep for free. So honestly, like, that is actually, if you're just like brand new, you just want to start the game without thinking about it too much, that's what I would recommend. You just need some dice, and you need to know the rules. But yeah, as someone said, the basic rules are free online. You can download the basic rules, but eventually you're gonna want to buy like the player's handbook and probably the Dungeon Master's Guide, although it's not necessary. I would say the player's handbook is necessary though, if you like really want to like learn how to play 5th edition D&D. And then, you know, you can get the Monsters Manual. There's a lot of books you can buy. It's a bit of a racket, but once you get like really deep into like any hobby, it becomes a racket, and there's just a lot of stuff to buy. But you know, that's how fandoms work, basically. Appreciate it, Patrick. I have gotten more compliments on this t-shirt than any other t-shirt that I have ever owned. I guess people just really like gorillas. You asked some weird questions, Andy. I'm doing pretty good, Mr. Big Weenie. Is that supposed to be a double entendre? So I'm just going over doing multiple layers. Apparently that's what you're supposed to do rather than, you know, one thick layer, but it makes sense because you don't want the paint to gunk up and all that shit. And I will try my best to actually keep it on camera. Get my hair out of the way. Have I ever met Lindsay Ellis in person? I have not. But I have spoken with her many times. Both through text and video. Lindsay Ellis is cool. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of her as an artist and as a person. Okay, what is that? I guess that's part of it too. Yeah, one shot might be a good, especially if everyone's new, just to gauge everyone's interest. But like me and my group, when we started, we just jumped right into the starter set. And the starter set it'll actually take you like a couple of months to finish it, assuming you're like playing once a week. But it's good, it's fun, it's really easy to run. It, I think, is a really good introduction to the world of D&D and what kind of shit can happen. Can too much intersectionality water things down for each group? No, I don't really understand how you think that would happen. I would be interested to hear the argument about how that happens. It seems like it does the opposite. It seems like neglecting to consider intersectionality would be more likely to water things down for each group. Okay, I think that's okay for the base coat of the thing, of the little shoulder things, assuming I didn't miss any parts. Well, I did miss some parts. I guess that's what the color is. Yeah, I'm gonna paint it that color. He's got like this little undershirt thing too. He's my favorite Street Fighter character, like, of all time. Maybe Ken?
Thanks for the great videos, sir. Getting ready to run for my group right now. COVID made my miniature habit unnecessary and I fell off. I miss painting them though.
Thank you for the 10. I don't know what I'm doing. Have fun running your game. Yeah, someone asked me what I got in, how I got into miniature painting, and really it's just because I'm playing D&D and I use a lot of miniatures and I want them to look cool when I put them on the table. That's really the literal only reason. I feel like I'm taking too long on this. Like the base coat doesn't need to be like neat or perfect. Okay, what's next? Okay, so he's got a beard. He's got, I guess I'll just do the metallic part. I'll do like the metallic part. We have some metallic paint, which is cool. Yeah, I'll use this. What are my thoughts on the Israel-Palestine conflict? I have no idea. I've talked about this before, but I generally don't comment on foreign conflicts or war or foreign policy or anything like that because I don't think I'm smart enough. I think it's like way too complicated. I think it's way more complicated than most people make it out to be. And I honestly think that most people shouldn't be commenting on that and things like that because none of us know what the fuck we're talking about. Why do I have a beard? That is a weird question. What's your take on the new Baldur's Gate game? I actually played a little bit of it. It's in early access now, and I like it. Speaking of Vampire the Masquerade, I've talked about this before, but I'm going to be in a Vampire the Masquerade campaign. It'll be my first time playing the game, and it's going to be streamed, so y'all keep an eye out, because I will let y'all know where it is streamed and when it is streamed. It should be at the end of this month when it begins. I wonder if I should be using a bigger brush for this. I don't really have a bigger brush. Well, I have bigger brushes, but they're like way bigger. Actually, let me try this one. Am I a postmodernist or a post-postmodernist? I'm not sure if that's a serious question, but if it is, you might as well just define what you mean, because I don't know if y'all remember, but there was a lot of discussion about postmodernism on the internet not too long ago, and it got real messy, and it didn't seem like anyone was using the same definition of what that even means. Vampires are the end of man. I want to run a vampire game, but I don't know if my group wants to play that, because I think they really love D&D, and vampire is a very different game. It's a bleaker game. It's darker. Tupac or Biggie? Definitely Biggie. Obviously I respect Tupac, but I think Biggie was just better as a rapper in almost every way. That's just me though. What are my thoughts on Candace Owens? It is hard for me to believe that Candace Owens actually believes the things that she says. I try not to be cynical though, but yeah, I don't know. I think that most of the stuff that she says is absurd, if not outrageous, and it's hard for me to believe that she's not just grifting. But I don't want to get into the habit of like trying to read people's minds and motivations. I mean, sometimes I think you can read between the lines, and I also think that sometimes you can get so far into something that you start to believe your own bullshit. But yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Is this Warhammer, or is this just painting your own models? This is for D&D. I never got into Warhammer. I've never played any Warhammer games. It looks like it's cool though. This is a giant. That's why it's big. It's an actual giant. My campaign has a lot of giants in it, so I have a lot of giant minis, and giant minis are fun to paint. I like painting big ones. The small ones are like hard to paint because they're so little, but giants also take a lot of time, and they take a lot of paint too. Alright, another layer on this chainmail here. Not that D&D can't be dark, but D&D is usually about, you know, being a hero and saving the world and shit like that. Vampires is like just fucking just getting through the day without like randomly murdering people. I don't know anything about Warhammer because I've never played it, so I couldn't tell you if it's fascist. Seems like it's probably not fascist though. I have a group. We have an ongoing campaign that we're doing. And we basically we were playing online for a while, but we decided to start meeting back up. Oh shit. I dropped this earlier, and I thought it was okay, but it looks like one of part of his body fell off, like part of his little forearm. I think it's a piece that, yeah, it's a piece that you glue on though. Hold on. Okay, that'll work. I got some glue somewhere. Hopefully I can glue that without causing too much trouble. Trying to get more into D&D stuff. Anyone know a good place to start with books or lore? Well, any of the Salvatore books are always well recommended. I haven't read any of them. If you're just looking for story and lore, you can go there. Reading books like the Volo's Guide to the North, Volo's Guide to Monsters. I mean, it's meant for like players, but it does give a lot of lore. I think I should be able to just do this. Oh shit! Oh, too much. Fuck. I'm terrified of super glue, by the way. Is there like a name for that? For people that are scared of super glue? There's gotta be a name for it. I'm sipping Club 400 whiskey. It's really cheap. A lot of people like to put down MCU films by comparing them to artsy films and not other adventure fantasy films. Do people do that? I don't know. I'm obsessed with the MCU movies, so know if I'm probably biased. But you know, it's not for everybody. I know a lot of people that don't like them, which is fine. Hold on, what is this? Let me pull up some reference. I don't know what the back of it's supposed to look like. Is that more brown? Or is that just his actual back? I might just end up painting it brown anyway. Okay, that's fine. Now I'll go ahead and paint that brown on the back. Like this little part here, I wasn't sure if that's I think it's different though. It's like an undershirt or something. Maybe I'll paint it like black or something, or gray. So he's got these little furry things, which is, you know, probably some kind of animal fur. I don't want it to be brown. I might make it like white or gray. No, I play D&D. I don't know anything about Warhammer or 40K or any of that stuff. This is a frost giant from D&D. There's too much stuff on this miniature, dude. Like usually there's like, I mean that's what makes it cool, because it's very detailed. But it's like, shit, I don't know what to paint. Well, no, that's not what I want to do, actually. Okay, I'll just paint his skin. I'm procrastinating. I'm overthinking it, basically, is what's happening. Ghostly blue, how about that? For the skin. Everything about streaming is sesh. No, it's whiskey and Diet Coke. I don't know if the players that I'm playing with want to stream their game. I have streamed D&D before on stream, but I've only done it once. It might be too. Actually, once I highlight it, I think it'll be fine. I'd like to stream some games. I might see, like, I think there's like 1 or 2 players in my game that might be interested in streaming a game, but I think some of them are a little self-conscious about it. I don't know anything about cyberpunk, but I'm trying to branch out into other games. I think this is a bit too light, but we can darken it up. No, it's probably not. It's probably fine. I don't think I've seen any of Adam Savage's prop painting videos. I've seen other Adam Savage videos though. And I don't know who Jazza, but I have seen some other miniature painting channels that I've been following. Like Miniac and Goobertown and Black Magic Crafts, and so a dude named Squid something. So like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna finish this in this session because it's a lot, but we'll see. Kind of depends on how I feel, I guess. I'd like to get your opinion on something that's going to be a bit long. Well, you don't have to ask permission to post something, but I can never guarantee what my response is going to be because I don't know what it is. If there's a response at all. So my idea is that this blue is a little too light, but I'm going to go over it with a darker wash, which is going to make it quite a bit darker. So, and I think that'll be the perfect color once I do that. Oh, he has pants on. He doesn't even have I thought his legs were exposed, but they are not. So maybe the pants can be brown, much like his little shoulder thingy. Watching me in WWE at the same time. Yeah, SmackDown is on, isn't it? I think this is gonna look good when I'm done. Better not be drinking sad. No, I'm not sad at all. So the whole thing is just for you to ask me if you can draw me. I mean, yeah. And another thing I don't think you need to ask permission for. Or paint me or whatever, or draw. I don't know what's happening. I mean, I guess it's polite to ask, but I think that when you're a public figure, it's like not, it doesn't make any sense to get mad at people for doing stuff like that, like such as drawing pictures of you, even if it's an unflattering picture. Like, you can't really be mad about it because you put yourself out there and people will take that. But no, I like when people draw pictures of me. If you go to my Facebook page, there's like a photo album of just a lot of art that people have done of me. I've been meaning for like years to open up a PO box so people can send me art, but I've just never done it. I would definitely not refer to myself as a superstar. Just trying to get a good base coat down on this skin. Again, I think I am overthinking it because I don't need to be this methodical at this stage. But it's like, if you can lay it down without making too many mistakes, why not do it? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, you gotta make sure I like look under and stuff and make sure I'm not missing anything. It's easy to like miss like the little spots underneath. I've ever had a racist D&D experience? No, but roughly 90% of my D&D experience has been me running a game for my closest friends. So that sort of thing is unlikely to happen. Okay, what now? I guess I'll go ahead and paint the brown on the pants. I think that's going to be brown. Yeah, the thing is, I'm not really even a perfectionist, but it's just, it can be pretty frustrating if you have to like go back and fix things all the time. But the thing is I literally don't have to be. That's the cool thing about painting is, or at least painting miniatures with this kind of paint, is literally if you make a mistake, you can just paint over it quite easily. Painting the underside is kind of a pain in the ass sometimes. Although this one doesn't look too good. I mean, too bad. I think I can just paint the whole thing brown under here. I think another reason that you're supposed to paint thin is because it dries quicker. So you can go back over it like very quickly. Like it dries in like 10 seconds or something. I do need to get some better paintbrushes. That's like my only downfall so far. I think once I do get some like really good paintbrushes, like my painting is gonna level up like really quick. Okay. So I gotta decide what I'm gonna do about these furry boys. Also, his shoes might also be brown. I think I'm painting his shoes brown too. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and do that. Huh? Might go with gray, like a gray color for the little fucking leg warmers he has. Other things you like to paint? I guess I have not really painted other things. I mean, I used to take art classes in school and we would paint, and that was pretty fun, but I haven't done that in like 15 years or something. I much prefer drawing to painting. But I haven't even I don't really even draw that much either, which is kind of sad. Because I used to draw all the time. It was kind of like the thing that I was known for, was being the dude who draws all the time. And then I went to college for art and it fucking killed it for me. Which sometimes that happens when you make your hobby more into a job, something that you have to do rather than something that you want to do. Sometimes that can kill your desire to do it, for sure. Luckily that hasn't happened with YouTube. I think part of it is because even though YouTube is my job, I still work at my own pace and I can do it whenever I want. I can do it when I want, and I can do it how I want, which isn't really the case for like schoolwork or for like most 9 to 5. Well, probably my favorite artistic endeavor is writing, which is kind of like the most interesting part of making YouTube videos, in my opinion. Honestly, if I could just write and make other people do everything else, that would be not necessarily ideal, because I do like being on camera. I like being the face, but actually like performing on camera is probably my least favorite part of making videos, which is might be surprising to hear. But it's the only way that I can be the face of the channel, which is what I want. All right. He's got like these little sacks or scraps or something hanging from his belt, and I think those are going to be also brown. A lot of brown. Hopefully it's not too much brown. I don't want it to look like muddy. But the thing about it is, if I get there and it's too much, I can just paint over it. That is the beauty. Sorry for scraping the mic. I probably have done it a bunch of times. Oh yeah, For Harriet is a great channel. I recommend For Harriet to anyone looking for more good creators of color who are making talking about political and social issues. Would I play Among Us with fans? Possibly. I think I would be very bad at Among Us because I think I'm very bad at lying. I don't think anyone would believe anything I said. And he's got this little sash, which I think is gonna, I'm looking at some reference and they made it red, like a reddish color, so I think I'm gonna try that also. I feel like being honorable is not how you win Among Us, though. I don't know. I could maybe do that. I'm always hesitant to play games with the audience because I've been trolled a lot doing that. So like, I don't know, you play like a multiplayer game and you just get like super targeted. People troll you just because you're the YouTuber. People don't play the game as normal. They just play it in the way that's most likely to fuck with you. That sort of thing. Or people know that they're on stream, so they want to like do stuff that gets them noticed on stream. How much have I spent on paint? I haven't spent that much on paint. I'm still like looking into what paint I should be using. So I've been basically bought a lot of sort of like beginner sets, but I mean, I'm maybe like $70 total. $70-80, something like that. I care a lot about the quality of my materials. What do you mean? For painting? Yeah, like I said, I'm still learning what I even need. I know that I need better paintbrushes, and I've ordered some. The paint that I have seems fine, but maybe I just don't know because I haven't tried different things. And there's other things that, you know, that I'm learning that I should be doing, like using a wet palette, which I wasn't doing before, and it's like so much better. Wet palette is basically like, just keeps your paint wet for longer. I almost cleaned my brush in my drink. Super glad I didn't do that. Now I just gotta make sure I don't drink my paint water, and we're all good. Okay. So, I'm trying to envision maybe like just a dark gray for the fur. And then he also has like these little wrist things, which I think might also be brown with like metallic on it. What kind of paint am I using? I'm pretty sure it's acrylic, but I don't know what they put in it. There's something about paints that are made for miniature painting that's a little bit different than just any other acrylic paint that you buy. I don't really know what they do that's different, but I'm pretty sure it's acrylic based. Oh, I forgot to paint one of his hands. Let's do that. Yikes. Too wet. Too wet, too wet, too wet. So I think it's healthy that Batman was motivated by his parents' death. I don't think that there's an objective answer to that. It seems to depend on whoever is writing the story. Sometimes it is obviously very unhealthy, but sometimes it seems fine. Like a Well, Spider-Man was motivated by his uncle's death. But I think in almost every case that is framed as a good thing. Maybe not a good thing that his uncle died, but it's not framed as a unhealthy motivation. Okay, this brush is bad. What's up, Alfredo? I did see the Rambo I thought it was kind of peculiar, to be honest. Seems like. Also, do we need another gun character? Jesus. Those characters are always so annoying to fight against. It is cool that it's actually voiced by Sylvester Stallone. I found that pretty cool. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna paint some gray on the fur, on the furry boys, and then we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. I'm surprised because they've been doing like all the like horror people in the Mortal Kombat games. I'm surprised they haven't added Michael Myers yet. He seemed like he's a perfect fit for Mortal Kombat. Like they've added throughout the other games, they've added Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees. Didn't they add someone else too? Can't remember. Yeah, I was thinking Leatherface. Did they actually add Leatherface? I wasn't sure if that was true or not. Couldn't remember if I was making stuff up. Yeah, yeah, they added Predator and Alien also. That's what I was thinking of. I mean, I guess it's cool. They added fucking, what's his name from The Walking Dead to Tekken. It's just a, I don't know, it's a weird time to be alive. They're just doing, just everything is nostalgia, I guess, these days. What's up, Sam? Next complementary colors get a really rich, warm gray tones. Interesting. I still haven't like mastered, like I still don't have the vision of what it's gonna look like sometimes, so sometimes I have to just try stuff and see what works. Because I'm thinking, okay, this is gray, but I'm gonna add like a black wash in it. It's gonna darken it, and maybe that'll look cool. And then sometimes you want to try stuff, like maybe I'll do a brown wash. Maybe that'll look good. I actually might try that. But maybe it'll look stupid. I don't know. And then also, he's got these little knee pads. I think those are, I want those to be kind of like a dark metallic color, like a black metallic color. Which I think I will have to just like combine silver and black, or like combine like a blade steel and black. I'll probably use the same color for his little arm doohickeys. I could also use a little bit more light, but that's fine. I'll go ahead and paint his little sash. Oh yeah, I've never seen Harmon. Was it Harmontown? I would like to see it. I don't know where you watch it. Do I mind telling a bit about my campaign? Well, I'm running a heavily modified version. Of the pre-written campaign called Storm King's Thunder, which is why I'm using this mini. That campaign is, there's a lot of giants in it, and this is a frost giant. But it's heavily modified. A lot of it is based on the player's backstory, so there's a lot of stuff going on. The main thing is giants have sort of out of nowhere, no one really knows why, but the giants have started rampaging and attacking like human towns and things of that nature, and no one knows why. They just all at once started going ham. So that's one thing the players have to deal with. And also there's kind of another thing going on where the players kind of keep running into basically cultists who are calling forth demons, well actually devils, calling forth devils to this plane, and they're not exactly sure what's going on with that. So that's kind of a thing that's happening as well. Those are kind of like the main conflicts of my campaign. But there's a lot of stuff going on. They have a lot of backstory stuff. Yeah, I've been looking into a lot of mini painting advice online. So is this going to be red though? Yeah, I think maybe. Yeah, it'll be red, and maybe I can dry brush with like a. That's gonna be tight. I think that might work. Yeah. Can you do extremely unethical shit in D&D? Well, yeah, you can do whatever you want. It's make-believe. Sometimes people want to play morally dubious characters. Sometimes people play outright evil characters. It's kind of up to you what you want to do. Although playing an evil character can be a pain in the ass for the dungeon master. I outright don't allow it in my games. Like you can be morally dubious, but you can't be like just straight up evil, because a lot of people don't know how to role play an interesting evil character. They just think that evil means that you just like go around indiscriminately attacking and killing people. And then some people take it like way too far. Like I've read stories about characters like trying to sexually assault people and stuff, and it's like, nah, we're not doing that in my game, dog. Like my friends wouldn't do that, but like if I, for example, I was playing with strangers or people I didn't know very well, You never know what the hell they're gonna do. So I disallow evil characters in my game unless I am very comfortable with you. But some people can play evil characters and make it interesting. And sometimes you can do an all evil campaign where all of the characters are evil. But like, I don't know if anybody watches Critical Role, but a great example of a good evil character is Joe Manganiello's character Archon. Like his goals aligned with their the parties, even though he was like, you know, he was a servant of an evil dragon, basically. How do you define evil? I don't really define evil. I just say you can't be evil, and people get the gist. Because I think if you go into the game with at the top of your head, my character's evil, that can make you do some crazy shit. But if you go into the game with, you know, not thinking that, I think you just play a more interesting character most of the time. But I don't really define it, because I do want there to be like morally questionable options. And sometimes in-game characters do like pretty bad stuff, but they don't just always do bad stuff every time. Like D&D has kind of a like rough alignment system. Like you've probably heard of it, like lawful good, lawful neutral, lawful evil, that sort of thing. And that's kind of the way a lot of people think about it. But you know, obviously most people are more complex than just like good or evil. But some people want to play an evil character. And I'm like, nah, not unless I know you. Because you just never know what they're gonna do. Like if a character is just like, they see a random person in a tavern and they're just like, I go in there and I kill everybody. That's just annoying as a DM. Because you literally have to like, either you run combat or you have to just let this person like stall your game for doing a bunch of random fucking chaotic evil shit. Another good example of evil characters is if you watch Dimension 20, Escape from the Bloodkeep. It's a campaign where all the characters are evil, but they're all interesting, and they have you know, they have goals, and they, you know, they're kind of just like normal people, except they just happen to be evil, and they do some evil stuff, but they also like, they're like friends and they like each other, and they, you know, it's just more a complex version of what it means to be evil. Unnecessary benevolence. Well, I don't think unnecessary benevolence is anywhere near as annoying. But like I said, most characters are complex. There is room for sort of that very lawful good, like usually it's like a paladin type character who's like, I always do what's right, that sort of thing. But the thing about that is you can challenge those players like really easily. Just put them in a situation where what's right isn't clear. and you automatically can get interesting things out of players like that. What was the name? The one I just mentioned, Escape from the Blood Keep. It is part of Dimension 20, which is College Humor's D&D show. Dimension 20 is actually what got me into D&D. But they have a lot of different adventures, a lot of different seasons, and one of them is called Escape from the Blood Keep. It's actually a parody of Lord of the Rings, if that makes you more interested in it. They actually it's like Lord of the Rings from the bad guy's perspective. That's basically the premise of Escape from the Blood Keep. Okay, what now? He's got this dragon skull on his head, which I will paint white. I'm gonna paint it white, but I know I'm gonna add like some brown shadows to it to make it like kind of dirty and worn. But first I'm gonna paint it white. And he also has a beard, which might also be white. Frost giants usually have white hair. There are a lot of... all of the Dimension 20 seasons are great though. And they all have like really interesting premises. Like the first season, Fantasy High, is basically, it's supposed to be like a John Hughes movie. Like it's supposed to be like a D&D version of The Breakfast Club, but really it's more of kind of like a D&D version of a teen comedy. And then the second season is Unsleeping City, which is literally just, the DM Brennan Lee Mulligan is from New York, and it's literally just a love letter to New York. It takes place in modern day New York, which is cool. And then there's Tiny Heist, which is like, what would you call it? It's like a combination of like The Borrowers and Toy Story. So yeah, they're all really interesting. Do I have a favorite race? I don't know. I always play characters that are close to, like, I always play like elves or humans. I like characters that kind of look like closer to something that could exist in real life. I don't know. I don't like want to look monstrous or like weird. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's specious. I like to RP campaigns via text without any stats. Does regular D&D also have an issue with people writing OP characters? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes people like to min-max their characters and make them as strong as possible. But I personally don't have a problem with that. Some people dislike that. But as the DM, see, D&D is it's a lot of combat. Like, I mean, you can have a roleplay heavy game but I think the system is designed around combat. So people will design their characters to be like as good as possible in combat. But as the DM, if they make OP characters, just make OP monsters. It's fine. Literally. Okay, I'm gonna try coloring the beard white also, but just shading it a different color so it won't look the same as the mask. This is one of those things where I'm not sure how that's gonna look, and I'm just gonna have to try it. That's kind of what happens a lot of the time for me because I don't have the vision yet. It's coming together though, you see? Can you see it? And watch when I like add the wash. For those that aren't familiar with painting, when you add the wash over it, basically it shades it and it really makes it look dope. But I'm not quite at that step yet. Not quite. What's up, Braden? And we'll use the big brush so I can paint this quickly. I think I'm going to be doing a lot more painting streams because I've really been enjoying painting lately. So hopefully that's okay to y'all because I like to do it. And I have a lot of unpainted minis, which I think is probably the case of anybody who collects minis, but yeah, I don't know. I guess some people have trouble getting groups together. That's not been my experience at all. Like, there's so many people all over my town that are interested in D&D. It's just that no one wants to run the game. And true, there are scheduling problems, but you can usually get a group together to play like one night for sure. Like, that's my experience has apparently been different from a lot of other folks. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see. I need to buy more paint though. Like, you go through paint. Seems like you go through paint quickly. Maybe I'm just not being very maybe I'm not conserving it properly or something. I don't know. I'm gonna paint these other hairy bits. That sounded kind of dirty. Yeah, like I said, the only reason I got into painting minis is because I play D&D and I just want the minis to look cool when I play. But it's also fun to paint minis. Like I said, I've gotten really into it, and I hope to do more of these streams, assuming people are interested in it. If over time, you know, I look up and there's like 2 people watching, then it's like, okay, maybe people aren't into that. Yeah, that's why I always say if someone wants to play D&D, the easiest way to get started is to offer to be the DM. And that's what I did. But I enjoy being the DM. Like I was saying earlier, I like being the DM way more than I like playing. I like playing, I just don't like it as much. Okay. Do I prefer Star Wars or Star Trek? Well, from what I know about either of those things, there's something in my mustache. I prefer Star Trek for sure. But I haven't seen the full I'm not familiar with the full universe of either of those things. But from what I've seen, the answer is easily Star Trek. I respect Star Wars though. I think the world building in Star Wars is super good. This my dog. Thank you for the $5. Paint fun. Keep it up. Love you. I appreciate that because I am going to need to buy more paint for sure. Thank you very much. What kind of campaigns do you like to run? Well, I've only run really one type of campaign so far. It's just been going on for like 2 years now. But I'd like to try other things. But right now I'm just running a pretty typical high fantasy D&D campaign with giants and dragons and wizards and magic and shit. Pretty typical. But I'd like to try other stuff. Like I want to do one set in the modern day. I also like to do a horror themed campaign. That might be cool. Alright, I'm gonna paint his arm thingies. Bracers, I guess, is what you call them. I don't know. Something like that. Something of that nature. That's the only problem with these big minis. It takes forever just to get the base coat down. Especially when you're like inexperienced like I am. But I think it's going well so far. Love the improv that's required for the DM. Love a good mix of players who want to go along with the story, but also liking to mess around and push things in a fun, different direction. Yeah, that's, I mean, that's the beauty of D&D. That's why I'm kind of obsessed with it. Yeah, okay. Little parts are hard to get. Do I think D&D gets labeled as white? Probably. I think that when I was growing up, I thought of it as something that white people do. I mean, some of it I think is cultural. Like, as a person who grew up in black neighborhoods and went to black schools, as far as I knew, there was nobody playing D&D. That was a good way to get shoved into a locker, I think. But like a lot of things, it seems to be dominated by white people. And even as it is growing, the white people seem to be, especially the white men, seem to be the ones that are getting most of the attention. Not to say that they don't deserve it, but there are other people that deserve it as well. However, what I will say also is that the D&D community is very, very open and inclusive, in my experience. More so than other communities. And also the people who make D&D are very, they're very concerned with being inclusive. Like, for example, the player's handbook of the official player's handbook mentions non-binary people. Like, just the mere fact that they acknowledge that that's a thing is more than I've seen from a lot of companies and fandoms and subcultures and stuff. So, not to say that they're perfect, but I think that the D&D community is a step ahead of a lot of other communities. And because of that, I think a lot of minorities and marginalized groups feel comfortable getting involved in D&D. Compared to something like gaming. Gaming is like real tough for non-white people and women to get involved in because there's so much gatekeeping and shitlordism involved in that in the gaming community. I mean, like video gaming. And I know that's like real broad, but you know, certain gaming communities are pretty fucking obnoxious. And I'm sure some of you probably know what I mean. So yeah. I mean, in general, it's just like white people dominate everything, and people listen to white people more than other people. That's just kind of how the world is, or at least how this country is, and other countries as well. But it's getting better. Do you get annoyed by people asking about race so much? No, because I mean, I talk about race a lot on my channel. It's to be expected for sure. Are humans an allegory for white people in D&D? I don't know, possibly. I guess you could argue that, but it also depends on how you write your games. Like, I know that I know some people have games. Like, the first game I ever played in, humans were a minority race in his game. I'm playing the basic Forgotten Realms setting, which is kind of like this default setting of this edition of D&D. And in that setting, humans are definitely the dominant race. But it brings up a lot of questions. Definitely brings up questions of colonialism, and there's often like racism and xenophobia and things of that nature. So I think it allows you to tell interesting stories with interesting motifs and moral questions and things of that nature. Alright, while I have this brown paint on my brush, I'm going to go over some of these other brown parts. What's up, Soy? You like to be an old school DM where you show no mercy to newbies, where you fool the player into thinking a dark void that will make you disappear as an entrance? No. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't do cheap stuff like that because I don't think that's fun. Maybe some people think that's fun, but I don't think that's fun. But I definitely, if the players do something ridiculous or not very smart, I will definitely show no mercy in the consequences for that. I want them to know that there are consequences for their actions, and I want them to respect the fact that their characters can die. Like me and my group, we all kind of came from video games, and video games, you don't want to die, but most video games dying is not that big a deal because you just start over. You start over at your last checkpoint, you have a continue, or sometimes you immediately respawn. I'm trying to impart to them that is not how D&D works. There's like resurrection and things of that nature, so you can be prepared for that, but A, that costs a lot of resources, and B, you might die in a situation where you can't res. Like someone might do the disintegrate spell on you and literally turn you into a pile of dust, and that's pretty hard to resurrect. So you just have to respect the fact that your characters can die, and if you don't want your characters to die, then play in a way that's not foolish. But yeah, I don't do stuff like, unless it's like something, like a mimic, for example, that disguises itself as a treasure chest or something. I'll do that because that's a thing that they understand exists in the world. And also a mimic is not going to like one shot kill them, so I don't feel that bad about it. But like, for example, just recently, like I said, there's a lot of giants in my game. They just like busted up into this room that was filled with fire giants. They just like busted up in there. And I was like, okay. These guys hit hard, right? And one of them actually died, and the rest of them had to escape. They were able to, revive the dead character, but it was still, they got beat up real bad, and it also resulted in some NPC casualties, which they had to deal with that. So, yeah. Now traps, I think traps are legit, especially like if you're like in a dungeon looking for treasure. obviously someone is going to try to guard their treasure. So I don't mind putting traps in games. I wouldn't put like an instant death trap unless it's like something like super serious. But yeah, I'll do like a trap on a doorknob. That's fine. But I hear that D&D might be removing the term race. I did not know that. I mean, I don't really think that's necessary, but you know, whatever works for them. I don't think it's that big a deal either way. Okay, what do we have to do? We gotta do the horns. I think I'm gonna do like a lighter brown for the horns. Or maybe the horns probably the same color as the skull, right? Because it's a part of the skull. Yeah, I don't use traps that much. Like if there's a trap, it'll be like maybe one in the whole dungeon. Yeah, I don't do like the super like. First of all, my game is not very dungeon crawly. I don't think that's that fun. I really like the RP aspects, so I do a lot of that. And usually, if there's a dungeon, it's kind of a matter of, you know, several sort of big battles and maybe a couple of smaller challenges, which may include a trap. But yeah, I don't do like, I'm not really into like dungeon crawl type stuff where it's like every room there's like a trap or a puzzle or a group of enemies. Like I'm not super into that personally. I understand some people are, but that's not really my jam. I'm more interested in like telling a story, I guess. As I said earlier, I feel like I sort of consider myself a writer more than anything. And in D&D, you kind of get to write a story with the players, which is cool. Collaborative storytelling. Again, almost dipped my fucking brush in my drink. I'm drinking whiskey and Diet Coke, and it's almost time for a refill, actually. All right, so I want kind of like a dark gray, like a dark metallic gray. How do you do that? You just mix silver and black? Or like a silver with a black wash? Probably silver and black will work. If I've ever played a Final Fantasy title, which one was my favorite? My favorite Final Fantasy game is probably Final Fantasy X. Followed closely by 7 and Tactics, I think will be tied for second. And then from there, I don't know. 6 is really good. Final Fantasy 14, if you count that, that's the MMO or one of the MMOs. Final Fantasy 14 is amazing. Actually, Final Fantasy 14 is probably my second favorite. Do I use concept art for inspiration when you paint? Yeah, sometimes. Right now I am using, I actually have a couple of images open of this actual mini that other people have painted, just to get ideas. darker. But I really like all of the Final Fantasy games. Of the ones I've played, I haven't played Final Fantasy 12, which I hear is pretty good. And I haven't played Final Fantasy 15, but I sat and watched my friend play most of it. Final Fantasy 8 is fine. It's good. It's fine. I just don't think it's better than the ones that I said. Personally, I absolutely hate Squall. He is so annoying. And I know some people hate Tidus from 10, but I don't know. I think he's cute. But Squall is, good God, that dude. It's like, shut the fuck up, dude. Holy moly. This is actually still not dark enough. But I kind of like it. Final Fantasy 9 is fine too. But like I said, I like all of them. There are none that I've played that I don't like. Even Final Fantasy 1 is good. Final Fantasy 2 is probably the worst one of the ones I've played. But it's still fine. I don't know, it's fine. But yeah, 10 was so good to me. Some of it might be nostalgia, but I don't know. I still love it. I can't, you know, I can't think of why it wouldn't be as good as I thought it was. I played that shit so much. So he has like these designs on his I have to paint his axes too. I completely forgot about that. He has these designs on his bracers that I have to figure out what to do with. Actually, I don't know if I want this silver for this. Yeah, I'll do it. See how it works. Yeah, I mean, I totally believe that that's something that they would do, that D&D would do. I wonder if I should use silver for his... Like, that silver color is like really shiny. So it gives the appearance of like steel. Or not even steel, but like, I guess silver. But sometimes it doesn't look realistic on certain types of armor because armor's it's not supposed to be that shiny. But I think that's fine. Speaking of like cheap stuff, I couldn't get into Dark Souls because that's a game that will do cheap stuff to you, and I didn't like it. Is the mic audio too low? I think I moved it away from my mouth. Yeah, I mixed it up. I mixed it with black, but I don't know if I didn't really put as much as I thought it would end up being. I mean, does everyone else think that I should turn my mic volume up? Or does anyone else think that? If I do it, is that going to be annoying? Actually, can I even do that? Well, I'm sure I can, but I'll just move the mic closer. I was just trying to make it, I kept like, yeah, I keep hitting it with the paintbrush. All right, I do want silver on the axe. Almost done with the fucking base coat. Where'd I put this fucking... I lost my my paint. Where'd I put it? Where'd I put it back? I did put it back. When did I get into minis? Pretty much as soon as I got into D&D, which was a few years ago. Let's focus. Okay, now it won't focus. Hello? There we go. So these axes have a lot of designs on them, but I don't, they're a little bit small, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to really paint that. I'm not at that level yet where I can paint like super tiny designs, but I can maybe like just fill it in and just sort of like suggest the design. Yeah, I mean, you use what you got, but I very quickly became obsessed with minis. So I have spent a pretty ungodly amount of money on miniatures. And I know that not everybody can afford to do that. Not that, I mean, I kind of can't afford to do it, but it's one of those things where you decide what to prioritize in life. And D&D brings me, at this point in my life, D&D brings me more joy than probably most things, you know, like most like non-human things. And so I've decided that it is okay to spend money on it, but you know, that might not be the case for other people. Okay. So I might paint that brown also. And sometimes I have to use like pawns and stuff myself because I don't have enough minis for what I want. You know, like if 10 bandits jump out of the woods, I don't think I have 10 bandit minis, so I just use like pawns. I bought a bunch of just like colored pawns that I end up using a lot. But if I can get the minis for it, I will. What paints do I use? I just bought like these like little starter paint sets. One of them is made, well, they're like starter paint sets for Reaper, and one that's officially labeled with D&D, like the actual company. But the D&D ones is made by Army Painter, which is a known brand, and the Reaper one is made by Master Series Paint, which I think is another known brand. And yeah, I have washes and stuff. Once I finish the base coat, I'm gonna start putting washes on it. And the washes are, I think it's gonna be tight. Because this is a pretty detailed mini, and that's what really brings the washes out, is when the mini has a lot of detail, a lot of crevices for the paint to sink in. This is a tough spot to reach here. Sorry I'm not on camera right now, but I needed to get to the right angle. Alright, Marshmallow, thanks for checking out the stream. Special dice to represent different creatures. Yeah. You definitely don't need minis, but they're just cool. I like them. In fact, I'm kind of obsessed with them. It is more than I just like them. But yeah. You can use pawns. You can just use your mind. You don't even need anything. You know, when COVID first hit and we stopped playing, we started playing online for a while. We were using theater of the mind. We didn't have miniatures. And that's, I mean, that's fun too. Thinking about putting like some blood on the axe, just to give it the effect of being bloody. This part kind of already looks like blood, but I'm gonna darken it, I think. Yeah, the dry brush. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do something like that for the details, just to kind of suggest the details rather than having to try and actually paint it precisely. Okay, I don't know why I'm suddenly off camera. I think I'm twisting my chair. Yeah. How would I send you a book I think you'd like? Well, as of right now, there's no way to do that. I'm probably gonna end up getting a PO box soon, so people can send me stuff. But I have not done that yet. But I will let people know when I do that. Okay, now I'm gonna paint the ropes, or not the ropes, like little edges of his. Well, I think they are ropes. But those are gonna be red too. Hopefully, this brush is not too big. I'll get red everywhere. It's not a big deal if I do, but oh, I would love to get some 3D terrain going. I don't really have a good way of doing it right now because we don't play at my house. I have to go to a friend's house, so it would just require me like lugging this 3D stuff all over the place, which could be doable, but I don't know if I feel like dealing with that. At least not now. Maybe for like a very special like boss fight or something, might get into that. Still gotta paint that part on the back. I forgot about that. But yeah, I do use these for D&D. Currently painting a frost giant, which will be used in my game. I mean, I enjoy painting, but pretty much the only reason I do it is for my game. Maybe eventually I'll get into doing it just for fun, or just to make some cool stuff for just to display like in my apartment and stuff like that. But for now it's just for D&D, for sure. Well, I definitely would probably be painting faster if I wasn't keeping up with chat. But you know, there's no rush. I don't know. Well, I don't know. It hasn't been that long, but I'm not, obviously if I don't finish this, I'm not gonna be streaming all night, but I could possibly finish it, especially if I don't make too many more mistakes, and if I get to a point where I'm actually satisfied, and that's the key. That's what might be an issue, because it's sometimes hard for me to know when to stop. It's not even the perfectionist thing, it's just like it doesn't look right. Maybe it is a perfectionist thing. I never thought of myself as a perfectionist, but sometimes you learn some things about yourself. Okay. Most of it is done. I gotta do this thing in the back. I'm gonna do that. What color? The easiest would just be to do it brown. And then you want to kind of have like a cohesive color scheme. And I'm no color theory expert, so sometimes I just have to try stuff. Do I want gray? It's blade steel. I gotta paint the bottoms of his little axis. Do I ever play Magic the Gathering? Is that, I think that's what that is. I haven't played Magic the Gathering in a very long time. I played it before though. I'm gonna try to basically what someone suggested is kind of painting the base color and then just trying to highlight with some other colors, just to like hint at the fact that there's a design on it. Again, I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna look, but we can try different things. Okay, now I just gotta paint that thing, which I think I'm just gonna paint like dark gray. I'm going to, however, refill my drink and use the restroom. So, well, it is a bathroom. Okay, I thought I was gonna knock my camera down. I'll be right back. Hello, I'm back. My chair has a bunch of paint paint splatter on it. All right, where was I? Get this boy to focus. Got like these little metal rings on his thing, so we'll paint those real quick. And then I gotta figure out what color to paint, sort of like the rim of his chainmail. Let's see what color. Maybe black. It's like a dark brown. I'll try a dark brown. On a scale from 1 to infinity, how many questions about your dreads do you get daily, weekly? I probably get one every time I leave the house. Maybe not every single time, but yeah, definitely multiple times a week. People are fascinated by dreads, it seems. Which is fair. They are pretty cool, in my opinion. Hard to reach spots. Okay, anything I missed? Shots to Lightfoot, thank you for the $10. That's an amazing sticker, by the way. Why would anyone ask about someone's dreads? Well, a lot of people do not understand how dreads work. They don't understand how you get dreads. And I think this happens to anyone who has long hair. People like to ask you how long you've been growing it. I get that question all the time. This mini is for my Dungeons and Dragons game. Alright, I'm gonna make a dark brown, I think. I don't generally smack people who try to touch them, but it is a pretty weird thing to do. I think it's a really bizarre thing to just like randomly touch someone's hair without their permission. Sometimes when I'm out at the bar, I let girls do it because usually it means that they're flirting, but it's still pretty weird, in my opinion. What level is my party? They are currently level 12, so they're getting up there. They're pretty powerful. Seems like a sense of entitlement to someone's space. Yeah, I agree. Which is weird. Like, why would someone feel entitled to that? Alright, we're gonna try this dark brown and see how that goes. I don't know if it's enough of a contrast from the original brown. But it'll work for the moment. Now let's try something else later. I can also make his little undershirt dark brown too. I think I'm gonna make this dark brown also. Okay, this paintbrush is failing me a little bit. Painting small portraits. So miniature used as an adjective and not a noun. I started painting minis because I wanted to have minis in my D&D game, and I wanted them to look cool. Also, it's just fun. I like it. It's just fun to do, personally. So I do like the brown on the outskirts of his like chainmail. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Yes, I mean it's a lack of tact, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know how someone can really like justify literally touching someone without their permission. Like, it's, I don't know. It's just weird to me. Like, I think I understand you can like touch people, like, I don't know, but I feel like you have to like read the room. Like, if you're having a conversation with someone and you're deep in conversation and you're trying to get their attention, maybe you can touch their knee or something like that very gently. But for someone to like walk up to you, especially a stranger, literally just walk up to you and just grab your hair, that just seems really strange to me. I don't understand how that is justified as being okay. All right, I think I am going to paint his little back piece that dark gray color. I mean dark brown, although it doesn't even look that much darker than the other one, but that's fine. It's fine. And with that, we are pretty much done with the base coat finally after 2 hours. And now we gotta try to see how we can make this shit pop. Yeah, obviously there are ways to, people touch people. I mean, like I gave an example of one. Just trying to clean up certain little thingies. I don't know if it'll. This is kind of just like the main base coat, but we're gonna add a lot of shit, add a lot of shading and things of that nature. So, for example, those who are unfamiliar with painting, this is gonna be tight. So I want the helmet is white. His helmet is like a dragon, is literally a dragon skull. But I want it to be kind of like dirty and worn. So we're gonna add like a brown wash to it. What color is this? Flesh wash. Yeah, let's try that. That might work. I don't have any like medium-sized brushes. So literally you just get, the washes are kind of like, they're different. I don't know the chemistry of it, but God damn it. You can also just get like very watered down paint, and you kind of let it kind of drip into the crevices, which provides like kind of like a shading effect, which is awesome. It like makes the mini, it makes it look like you know what you're doing. It's pretty dope. People call it like talent in a bottle because it's very easy to do, but it achieves such a really cool effect. And it's gonna look even cooler when it dries. I don't want it to be too brown, so I'm kind of like sopping up certain parts of it. But yeah, can you see what's happening? And I can actually, like, it looks kind of brown now, but I can actually like go back over it and bring out the white again. But you see how the paint is sort of like, the dark paint is falling into the crevices. It's just a really cool technique that is dope. Big fan. Big fan, big fan. Okay, I think I'll do the skin now, because the skin, I think, I don't want him to like, he's like blue, he's like sky blue, which I think is more of a cloud giant look. Frost giants are more dark blue. Yeah, I need to do more research. I'm not actually super familiar with all of the options in terms of washes and paints and stuff. So I'm going to make a blue, like a darker blue wash, which I don't have one, but I can just, basically I'm just gonna make a watered down blue, watered down darker blue, maybe blue and no, that might look ugly. Actually, I don't even know if I have it in there. D&D is pretty nerdy. I mean, as far as nerd stuff goes, which is interesting. I've talked about this before. I think I've even talked about it in videos, but the word, I'm kind of ambivalent about the idea of the word nerd. Like, I'm obviously, there's a lot of like stereotypically nerdy things that I like, and in fact I'm like pretty open to pretty much anything, especially nerdy stuff. But there's a lot of like stereotypically non-nerdy stuff that I'm really into as well, and also like the stereotypical idea of the nerd, of like the introverted person with social anxiety who likes to stay home and do geeky stuff. Like, that's not me at all. I'm like super extroverted. I like to party, even though I'm like kind of getting too old to do it. I don't really have social anxiety for real. So stuff like that, I don't really identify with. And also, you know, I'm into like sports and shit like that. So yeah, it's an interesting concept to me. But yeah, I think that those terms are changing for sure over time. So we're gonna make a very watered down blue color. And we're going to paint that over the skin so it darkens up. I should have set like just I should have turned autofocus off, I think, and just set the focus. It's actually like, yeah, that's fine. Like you can kind of see it in the main camera, to be honest, but you can't really see what I'm doing, but you can kind of see the other side of it if I actually hold it in the right spot. So I don't know if this is exactly the effect that I want, but we will take a look at it after it's dry. Oh shit, this shit is dripping everywhere. It's too watery. That's my bad. Alright, I'm gonna have to fix that. Let's see. Yeah, the concept of being nerdy or cool definitely means much less to you after a certain age. Like, I definitely don't give a shit about what's cool or not. I just do what's fun. Yeah, I mean, almost all nerdy things are more acceptable than they used to be. It's pretty wild how popular D&D is right now. Because growing up, I always thought that was like, the only thing nerdier than D&D is LARPing. At least that's what I thought growing up. But now D&D is like very popular. You know, you got like Vin Diesel and Terry Crews playing D&D and shit. It's like, what the fuck? So it didn't darken it as much as I wanted to, but it is okay. Like, it might work the way it is. You watch Critical Role? Definitely. I love Critical Role. I watch it religiously. I watch it as soon as the new episodes come out. Large fan of Critical Role. Huge fan. Do I think YouTubing as a job is nerdy or cool? I don't think it's very nerdy. I mean, you can make videos about nerdy stuff, but I mean, being a YouTuber is basically similar to either being an actor or being a broadcaster, and I don't think either of those things are stereotypically nerdy. I also love Dimension 20. I've seen every episode of Dimension 20. Dimension 20 is actually what kind of got me into D&D, or that's kind of like what made me like really get obsessed with it. All right. Now I think I'm gonna do black over the brown because the brown is already pretty dark. Actually, yeah, I'll do this. I have this this wash thing. It's black, but I think I've like accidentally got other colors in it, so it's like more of a dark brown at this point. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of kids want to be YouTubers. My little sister wants to be a YouTuber. She's always asking me like, can we collab? And it's like, I don't think there's anything for like a 12-year-old girl to do on my channel. Do I want my sister to be a YouTuber? I mean, obviously she would need supervision, but I don't really have a problem with it. I think the issue is just like being an actor and things of that nature. People have to realize how hard it is to actually make that work as a career. I made videos for literally 10 years before I was able to actually make it my career. Some people just aren't able to do that. I mean, I guess if you start young, maybe. I think I'm gonna add a lot of this black stuff. I would love to be a guest on Critical Role. That would be literally bucket list material. I don't think, I mean, you say that, Alfredo, but I mean, I don't really know what kind of person you are, but you have to love making YouTube videos in order to make this work, because it's a lot. Even if you start making money, it's still a shit ton of work, and I think most people probably would not be willing to actually do the amount of work that it takes, even if they were making money from it. Just adding some shadows and stuff. This is like the fun part. The base paint is kind of like the work part, and this is the fun part. This is when you really start making it pop. Kind of have to wait till it dries to really see how it looks. Because when you first put the wash on, it's very watery and shiny, but it dries quite quickly, so. But I always encourage people to pursue creative endeavors because I think jobs are dumb. I understand that most people have to have them, but if you can figure out a way how to not have a, you know, it is a job. Like I said, it's a lot of work, but being able to do something that you actually enjoy and care about at your own pace, maybe as your own boss, I think that everybody should be trying to do that. So I fully back people that if you're able to pursue it, as long as you understand that it's going to be hard and it may take a lot of time. This is a frost giant, yes. Yes, indeed. But yeah, jobs are dumb. This the way that we've organized society, that everyone has to be kind of drones spending, you know, the majority of their life doing work that they don't really care about. It's a travesty. And I understand most people can't do anything to change that, but if you ever get any opportunity to not do that, I think you should go for it. Personally. That is just me though. For sure. I'm not in favor of abolishing work. I don't think that you should have to work in order to literally like stay alive though. That's kind of my problem. Like, I think people like working, and I think that people want to work because people like being rewarded for working. But I don't think it should be like, oh, you have to go do this miserable job for the rest of your life or else you can't eat. Sorry. That's the part that's kind of dumb to me. I think I've talked about this on stream a couple times. But yeah. Why should you work? Well, for one, you might find something to do that you just are fulfilled by. But also, I think that people want more. People need stuff, but people also want stuff. And I think that people will work so that they can get stuff that they want. Like, you know, I need food to survive, and it kind of sucks that people have to work in order to have food, but I also want a PS5. So in order to get that PS5, I'm gonna do some work because these people have agreed to pay me money in exchange for work. And assuming that I agree that their offer is fair, then sure, I'll work for them for a little while and then I can get my PS5 and any other things that I want. So I don't like, I think that people will work even if they don't need to stay alive, and a lot of people seem to dispute that that's the case, but yeah, because people want stuff. And I don't think that we should, I don't, I think food, I mean, you shouldn't have to work for food, but PS5, sure. I don't think everyone deserves a free PS5. You know what I mean? Did I once upon a time have a video about my logical fallacies? I did make a video like that. For sure. I can't remember what it was called though. It may have been called something about logical fallacy. That was a long time ago though, so I can't vouch for if it's still good. It might be bad by now. All right, let me see if I can get some black in here like that. Yeah, I like it. Sometimes you can just use the black wash for everything because black is obviously a good color for shadows. But sometimes it's just too dark, so you have to, like, I don't know, your mileage may vary, I guess. But I'm using black for almost everything and it's looking cool. And really it's a dark brown, it's not even black. I'm tempted to use the black on the skin, but I think that won't work. Yeah, working could also be a social activity, I think. And again, also, even if it does get too dark, we can bring out the highlights again with highlighting and or dry brushing, which is another cool technique, which I will probably show in a second here. So I don't know if you guys remember what it looked like before, but you see I've added shadows and things of that nature. Pretty cool. Pretty cool if I don't say so myself. I do think the color scheme is a little bit muddy, but it'll have to do, I think. For now, at least. Yeah, definitely the giants in D&D are completely based on Norse stuff. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Miko Burton. I'm gonna do a gray wash for his beard. I think I have gray over here. UBI. I've talked about UBI. I personally think that